The minute you learn something, turn around and teach it to others. Share your reading list, point to helpful reference materials, create some tutorials and post them online. Use pictures, words, and video. Take people step by step through part of your process.
Welcome to Philosopher Insights, the podcast that delivers wisdom in minutes a day that you can put into practice daily and strive to master over a lifetime.
The podcast committed to sharing ideas that encourage you to bridge the gap between who you are today and the person you aspire to be in the future.
Hi, my name is Herb Lamba, and welcome to my podcast, where I will share practical insights from the world's best authors.
Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is. The quest to become the best version of you starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to Philosopher Insights. My name is Herb Lamba. Today we're discussing Show Your Work, 10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered. The author of the book, Austin Kleon. This book is published in 2014. I wanted to share a number of my favorite insights from this book, starting with Genius is not required, think process, not product, share something small, teach what you know, and then finish it off with chain smoke. So let's start with the introduction. Quote, I wanted to create a beginner's manual for this way of operating. So here is what I came up with. A book for people who hate the very idea of self-promotion. An alternative, if you will, to self-promotion. I'm going to try and teach you how to think about your work as a never-ending process, how to share your process in a way that attracts people who might be interested in what you do, and how to deal with the ups and downs of putting yourself and your work out into the world. If Steal Like an Artist was a book about stealing influence from other people, this book is about how to influence others by letting them steal from you. End quote. Well, I'm back with another great book from Austin Kleon, Show Your Work. The main takeaway? It's pretty straightforward. If you want people to notice you, you need to be easy to find. And the best way to do that is by showing your work. Austin Kleon emphasizes that creativity isn't just for the chosen few. It's something everyone can tap into every day. By regularly sharing what you're working on, whether it's a project, an idea, or even a small insight, you can build a supportive audience and open up new opportunities. It's all about making your process visible rather than just focusing on the final product. I am honored to share a handful of my favorite insights, so let's begin. Insight number 1. No genius required. Quote, there are a lot of destructive myths about creativity, but one of the most dangerous is the lone genius myth. An individual with superhuman talents appears out of nowhere at certain points in history, free of influences or precedent, with a direct connection to God or the muse. If you believe in the lone genius myth, creativity is an antisocial act, performed by only a few great figures, mostly dead men with names like Mozart, Einstein, or Picasso. The rest of us are left to stand around and gawk in awe at their achievements. End quote. Now, Kleon shares a healthier way of looking at creativity, where genius is not required. He encourages us to look at it from the genius perspective, where great ideas are born by a group of creative individuals. Quote, if you look back closely at history, many of the people who we think of as lone geniuses were actually part of a whole scene of people who were supporting each other, looking at each other's work, copying from each other, stealing ideas, and contributing ideas. End quote. All right, so that genius thing is quite amazing because it means we can all get into the action, even if we're not total geniuses. It's not about being the smartest cookie in the jar. It's about what you bring to the table. The key is to stop worrying about how you stack up against everyone else and start thinking about how you can help out the group. Instead of always asking, what's in it for me? Flip the script and ask, how can I make things better for everyone? It's a subtle shift, but it can make a big difference. When you start focusing on contributing rather than competing, doors start to open up. Read the obituaries. Quote, obituaries are like near-death experiences for cowards. Reading them is a way for me to think about death while also keeping it at arm's length. Obituaries are not really about death. They're about life. Reading about people who are dead now and did things with their lives makes me want to get up and do some decent things with mine. Thinking about death every morning makes me want to live. End quote. Now, I don't personally read the obituaries, but I definitely see the value this could bring. It's a constant reminder that life is fragile and you are not promised a tomorrow. It can also be very inspiring when reading about those that live lives of courage, legacy, and impact. In Die Empty, Todd Henry says, you know, the death rate is hovering right around 100%. Why avoid this reality? Keeping death in mind can shift how you live. Remembering your limited time adds urgency to your actions and helps you focus on what truly matters. Instead of shying away from mortality, embrace it. Let it inspire you to make the most of each day and pursue your passions. Life's too short not to chase what really matters. Insight number 2. Think process, not product. Quote, in order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. End quote. Brene Brown. Kleon says we must share this journey, not just the destination. Consistently putting your process out there, even on social media, allows people to connect with you as a person, not just your work. It's a necessary part of building real connections. He recommends taking photos or videos at various stages of your creative process. It's not just about the final product. It helps you keep track of everything happening around you. Sharing these moments can also connect you with others and make your journey more relatable. Quote, whether you share it or not, documenting and recording your process as you go along has its own rewards. You'll start to see the work you're doing more clearly and feel like you're making progress. End quote. Now, this is definitely one idea I need to explore while on my journey. How about you? Insight number 3. Share something small daily. Quote, overnight success is a myth. Dig into almost every overnight success story and you'll find a decade's worth of hard work and perseverance. Building a substantial body of work takes a long time, a lifetime really, but thankfully you don't need that time all in one big chunk. So forget about decades, forget about years, and forget about months. Focus on days. End quote. Now you must understand that becoming successful takes time. It's not going to happen in a flash. Once you wrap your head around that, the key is to focus on stringing together solid days that add up to masterpiece weeks, months, years, and even decades down the line. It really is about playing the long game. It's easy to get impatient and want results right away, but the real magic happens when you put your head down and grind it out day after day. It's like compounding interest. Those little daily investments add up to something huge over time. Let me remind you how Jeff Olson explains it in The Slight Edge. Life isn't about big leaps. It's often a series of long plateaus where it feels like nothing is happening. The key is to show up every day and keep pushing forward. So, what can you do today? Not tomorrow or next week. What can you tackle right now? Schedule it and get it done. If you want to start making your mark in the world, try sharing something every day. If you're just getting started, talk about who or what inspires you. I found that sharing other people's ideas or strategies can be super valuable. When you share something that really resonates with someone, they won't mind that you borrowed it from somebody else. They'll remember you as the one who brought it to them. They will remember who helped them move the needle in their life. Insight number 4. Teach what you know. Kleon starts off this section by sharing a quote from Annie Dillard. Quote, the impulse to keep to yourself what you have learned is not only shameful, it is destructive. Anything you do not giving freely and abundantly becomes lost to you. You open your safe and find ashes. End quote. Now, I believe teaching is one of the most underutilized superpowers that you have the ability to leverage on your journey of never-ending improvement. Quote, the minute you learn something, turn around and teach it to others. Share your reading list, point to helpful reference materials, create some tutorials and post them online. Use pictures, words, and video. Take people step by step through part of your process. End quote. Now, as one of my mentors, Jim Quick, shared, when you teach something, you get to learn it twice. In my experience, when I know I have to teach what I am learning, I am much more focused on understanding, and this elevates my recall of that content in the future. Quote, teaching people doesn't subtract value from what you do. It actually adds to it. When you teach someone how to do your work, you are, in effect, generating more interest in your work. People feel close to your work because you are letting them in on what you know. End quote. Absolutely. Teaching not only adds value to others, but also boosts the value they see in you. The legendary Jim Rohn said, quote, find a voice of value and learn to spend more time, end quote. Essentially implying, once you find someone that you can learn from, find ways to be in their orbit more often. I would like to add to this because I believe you should aspire to become a voice of value. If you have the courage to teach others and showcase your work, you will become a voice of value to other people. And that is one of the first steps to becoming the go-to person in any niche. What could you go out and teach today? Insight number 5, chain smoke. Quote, if you look at artists who've managed to achieve lifelong careers, you detect the same pattern. They all have been able to persevere regardless of success or failure. Director Woody Allen has averaged a film a year for more than 40 years because he never takes time off. The day he finished editing a film is the day he starts writing the script for the next. Bob Pollard, the lead singer and songwriter for Guided by Voices, says he never gets writer's block because he never stops writing. Author Ernest Hemingway would stop in the middle of a sentence at the end of his workday, so he knew where to start the next morning. Add all that together, and you get a way of working I call chain smoking. You avoid stalling out in your career by never losing momentum. Here's how you do it. Instead of waiting for feedback and worrying about what's next, use the end of one project to light up the next one. Just do the work that's in front of you, and when it's finished, ask yourself what you missed, what you could have done better, or what you couldn't get to, and jump right to the next project." End quote. Chain smoking. That's brilliant. After reading this book, I decided to become a creative chain smoker. Every day, 7 days a week, I block out the 30 minutes just for writing. This chain smoking approach helps build momentum and establishes a habit when you stick with it consistently. Now, there's another huge advantage to consistently engaging your creative muscles. I found I've improved my ability to get into flow and sustain deep work sessions as a result of this practice. Well, those are the takeaways I wanted to share from this fantastic book. If you found these insights helpful, I'd highly recommend picking up the book yourself. It's a quick, easy read. And please, take one of these ideas and put it into practice today. Even just one small step can make a huge difference. Until next time, stay curious and keep embracing the wonders of knowledge. You've been listening to Philosopher Insights with your host, Herb Lambert. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.